Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Soccer Show. I'm Adam Zdroik, joined by Jordan Cooper, Ryan Belongia. The trio is back. I can't remember the last time all of us were together. It's been a while since we actually talked about a classic Premier League slate. Jordan, how's it going? I didn't study Premier League over the international break, but I did read an article about how you ran a punk rock venue in New York City. So that was pretty cool to learn about you. But what's up, Jordan?
Yeah, my constant pursuit of never having a real job, right? That's just try to find things that I like and then make money off of them, so I don't have to do anything else, right? That's the key to everything. But yeah, finally back since the Queen died and stopped all soccer.
That's right. That's right. I think it must have been that last slate that was postponed, and then there's more postponements, and then it was the international break. But
it's not like there won't be any fixture congestion this winter.
we have it's going to be a fun 6 weeks. I guess we can just say that it's going to be. You'll definitely see me in Ryan's face a little bit, and then Jordan will always be here on Friday. But I think this one's a pretty fun slate we got for Saturday. We got 5 games. Liverpool implied goal total 2.18. Next highest is only 1.58. That's Chelsea at Crystal Palace. This is the first match for De Zerbi, Roberto De Zerbi, the Brighton manager. So that would be something to ponder as we look into this. But what do we think of this slate here?
It's perfect slate for me, Adam. It's such a perfect slate because it's a dinky-doo slate.
It's a dinky-doo slate, yes. There's not a forward who stands out unless, Jordan, are you someone, Ryan kind of mentioned in his article, you can check that out, rotowire.com. Are you someone who would use Salah in cash games? I know a lot of people do that. You're not, okay. You're shaking your head. Okay.
I don't see any reason on this slate in cash to use any of these high price forwards. I think you'll see them in my GPP lineups, but you won't see them in my cash lineups. And the obvious one, even in GPP, I don't care. I just don't play Ivan Toney at 9K. If the guy beats me, he beats me. Like, he's just always overpriced. I could see it's kind of weird for me to say. I know in Ryan's article he pointed out like Diaz at 7,900, which if I was going to play anyone at that high, it would be like in that range. I don't think you need to play Salah at 9,300 in cash. I don't think you need to play Darwin Núñez with no floor at 8,400. But Mitrovic takes a lot of shots. I mean, like, it's just like I don't mind Mitrovic's floor. It's just that they mispriced Chelsea on this slate. Why am I bothering? They're midfield. There are defenders and midfielders. If I could have all defenders and midfielders, I'd rather have all those slots. I'm not going to spend my money in the forward spot when there are legitimately probably 4 or 5 options, or maybe even 6 options under 6K for you to play. And then you're able to get 2 or 3 underpriced 6K defenders, and then also at least one underpriced 6K midfielder alongside James Ward-Prowse at 9,500. You tell me, do I play Salah at 9,300 or James Ward-Prowse at 9,500 and position be damned? I'll play JWP in a favored home spot 10 out of 10 times instead for a floor in cash games.
Man, I'm so happy to hear you say most of that, Jordan, honestly. No, seriously, I think people are going to play Salah even in cash. And I saw a world where even you were maybe going to play Salah. But yeah, I agree with most of the stuff you said. I know pretty much all the stuff you said. Just the reason for Salah. So Liverpool are just a little too cheap in general, those forwards. But I could see people thinking that there really aren't any good forwards, including all the cheap ones, and that we do have some mid-price midfielders that maybe you could get away with if you didn't want to play a Ward-Prowse and you wanted to play Salah as well. I also think there's quite a few people out there who just will take Salah over Ward-Prowse, even in cash games at the same salary. I'm with you, Jordan, in a favored matchup here. Give me JWP 10 out of 10 times in cash games in these two specific spots. So yeah, I don't know. I think people will play Salah. I don't agree with it. I think there's plenty of cheap guys you can get away with.
So are you guys looking at, Jordan, are you looking at these Chelsea guys are just ridiculously cheap? It's kind of upsetting how cheap they are.
You just have to realize they have no floor. Like, that's the problem with these Chelsea forwards. They either have no floor or they have minutes concerns, because I don't see Aubameyang playing 90. But, I mean, for the goal-scoring odds, we take a look at the RotoWire cheat sheet, which we have up on the screen. Click on rotowire.com/soccer trial. Get your free trial with no credit card required. I mean, it's what I look at this is literally what I look at. Salah minus 110, 9,300. Nunez plus 100, 8,400. Mitrovic, 8,000 plus 130. Aubameyang plus 140, 4,900. Like, even Havertz is 5,100 and plus 210, 32% implied probability. So, like, looking at this, it's like, do I want to play two of these guys? But then we'll start going down. We see our Adam Armstrong is plus 200 at 4,400. It's like, dude, none of these guys really have floors. And if you're going to pay double the price, like, what? I'm not getting double the goal scoring odds. Like I in these forward spots, to me, I think the pool of players for cash is basically Havertz, Aubameyang, Joe Linton, and whoever, and Armstrong / Aribo / both, depending on what their starting lineup looks like. Like, if I'm going to play a goal dependent player anyway, why don't I just play like Aubameyang at 4,900, even if he plays 75 minutes? If you want to play Havertz, you could do that as well. Like, my preferred combination is probably Joe Linton plus Aubameyang. I think Joe Linton has the highest floor out of all of these guys. And he's most likely going to play 90 minutes, no matter what. While Armstrong and Aribo could obviously come off at some point. Aubameyang is most likely going to come off at some point, probably the 70 to 75th minute. But at 4,900, he also has great goal-scoring odds. Havertz may come off at the 75th, 80th minute or something like that. But I mean, you're paying under 5,300 and below. Like, dude, like, if I have a shot at a goal, let me do it in one spot. So that's why, like, I don't know about playing Aubameyang and Havertz together. I don't know. And also, I don't know about playing Armstrong and Aribo together. I feel like I'm much more comfortable playing Joe Linton with one of those other guys, whatever I have left in salary. I think this slate in cash games, for the people that do not play Salah or Diaz or pay up at forward, it's going to come down to which two of these cheapies did you play, and then which one of two different midfielders did you play, and which goalkeeper / did you play the midfielder, or did you play the defender that is 100 apart from each other in the utility spot? Or did you play the other $6,500 defender and not the $6,700 defender? And did you play Neto over Bird and Leno? Like, Ryan's smiling. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. Like, there's literally like 20 combinations of like very slight 2v2s that are all the same construction, that are all viable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I really don't have anything to add to that. I agree with everything Jordan said. It's spot on for everything.
Just to give if you needed another reason to play Joe Linton. So Newcastle, they're not going to have Isak. Chris Wood, not sure if he's going to be in the team. He has something with his rib. So there's a chance. We're also getting Callum Wilson back from his long-term injury. He's not going to go 90. There's a chance we could see Joe Linton move to like a forward role for the final 20 minutes if you need another reason to, play Joe Linton. So maybe I mean, maybe that happens. That gives him some upside as well. So like if you're not considering for GPPs or something, but I mean, that's just kind of the move in cash games. But in tournaments, it's like, look at all these guys on the high end.
I got the best tournament play, Adam. I got the
Pascal
best
Gross
tournament play on the board.
Pascal Gross. There you go.
No, it's not him. No, I'm not playing a player from the biggest underdog on the slate. No. From a construction and leverage standpoint, I'm going to be playing this play. I don't know if I'm playing it in the 245 qualifier. I think the best tournament forward on the slate is Che Adams at 7,200. Southampton has about the same goal total as Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea's cheap, but it's not like they're in a position where they're 2.5 goal total or something like that. Liverpool has the obvious higher goal total. I expect in GPPs that the Liverpool forwards will be the highest owned forwards on the slate for goal scoring odds perspective. But with the fact that Armstrong and Aribo are both 4K, there are going to be more lineups that have a Southampton play that have Ward-Prowse in one of them than play Che Adams at 7,200. Because from a value standpoint, Armstrong and Aribo are better values. But if Southampton put up 2 goals, dude, Che Adams is a center forward. I mean, like what are we talking about here? We're playing all the subsidiary players except the guy that's actually be closest in the net and score the goals off of them. So I could see playing Che Adams with one of those other 3 players. And then also we'll talk about defender, maybe even playing like a Romain Perrault or something like that. I think that the Southampton ownership is going to be very condensed. And if I see instances, obviously, if Southampton scores 2 or 3 goals, that it doesn't necessarily have to go through any of those players. And they're going to be so dramatically lower owned in comparison to them that, yeah, you're overpaying, but it's not like you're hurting for salary on the slate. Like I don't feel whenever I was building GPP lineups, I feel like I could find a way to get in anyone I want with like 1 punt. It's like, okay, well, if I play this 3K defender, I'm good. Or if I play this $3,600, if I play Jorginho for a penalty kick or something like that, if I play Ryan Fraser if he's in at 41, I'm good. So it's like I don't mind overpaying. Of course, that means I should be playing Ivan Toney, but I just have a vendetta against that guy. Yeah. I just don't pay 9K for Ivan Toney.
Man, I'm with you about Toney, and yeah, I mean, again, everything you said, I agree with 100%. Like the way
I hear that, Ryan. I
can't say anything. I can't say anything else about this. The way I evaluate tournament plays, Che Adams is one of the best on the slate, and the way I evaluate them is their, I would say, chances of hitting a ceiling combined with ownership. And like Jordan mentioned, Southampton is in one of the better spots on the slate. Che Adams could easily be the only player on the slate to score 2 goals. And he's not going to be very popular, especially when it comes to Southampton. Yeah, I mean, I just don't have much to add to that. The way I rank tournament plays, he ranks as one of the best ones.
So you guys hate Toney. How popular is he going to be on this Liverpool slate, though? Is he still going to be up there, like 20%?
He's always double-digit owned for no reason. So
yeah,
I never get it either. So
okay, it's tough to say for no reason just because he plays 90 every game, takes penalties, and takes direct free kicks now. I mean, I do agree with you. Yeah, but he'll still be like 15% though. It's a pretty good matchup, this one against Bournemouth. But
in that sense, do we think that, I mean, Callum Wilson, he's coming off an injury, but he's 8,800. If he's less popular than Toney, he's going to be less popular than the Liverpool guys. Maybe that's another tournament option too.
Yeah, but the problem with Toney is the price. It's not the person. It's like, for his upside, why don't I just play Dominic Solanke for 6,400? Why don't I play Neil Maupay? He starts up top for Everton at 5,700. It just feels like those guys have just as much upside as I mean, yeah, I get it. I think Toney's a better player than
to play devil's advocate, just to play devil's advocate, like you said, you can afford anyone you want on this slate. So, if Tony's the guy that's going to score the hat trick, then price might not be as important as it normally is.
I think someone has to argue with you guys, but I think Tony's going to be pissed because he was called up to the England national team, didn't get a minute. Thomas Frank, the manager, was asked about it. He's like, yeah, he's really upset about it, but we got to keep working. And I think in my head of implied goal totals, I think the odds seem kind of low in the Brentford-Bournemouth match, 2.67. Just seems kind of low. I'm not sure why it's so low, but I think that should be a little higher. But so I'm kind of leaning on goals in that match more than I guess the other ones, I'll say. So I kind of like that one to target. But like you said, Jordan, I guess you got Solanke in the same game, and he's a lot cheaper. So, but I mean, you could still go with both those guys. I mean, otherwise at forward, it's Zaha will always have people looking at him. I mean, even against Chelsea, I think people will still look at him just because he's Zaha. But I mean, maybe it's that same case with he's going 90 minutes kind of a thing. Is there any consideration? I know Crystal Palace are underdogs, but like Eze down here at 6,900, no, because he's splitting set pieces with Elise right now.
Well, just it's a bad matchup. I mean, not looking necessarily to play Crystal Palace players. Yeah, if I was going to play anyone, it would be Zaha. But I think if you were Rip Van Winkle and woke up in 2022 after playing like soccer DFS in like 2017, you'd be like, well, why aren't I playing Willian at 7,000? And no, like not at like his role on Fulham now. I'm not saying he's an old guy, but he's much older now than he was. Now that he's splitting set pieces with Pereira, like it almost kills the value of both players at the same time because Willian most likely doesn't play 90, and Pereira. I mean, they're gonna practically even split him. It's like now these guys have to be much cheaper because they're not even on that good of a team either. So it's not like, oh, I don't mind. I don't mind when Chelsea splits sell pieces because they're bombarding someone or Man City or something like that. So like, do you think I don't think people go there, but I mean I could see people going like, well, I need a floor. Why don't I just take Willian?
Yeah,
I think I don't.
No, I don't either. I think maybe more than you think would go there. I don't think a lot of people, but like specifically those two players, Willian and Eze, are players you might consider for cash or players that I would consider for cash, but not in this spot. I just mean in general. Willian, he just doesn't score goals. He barely even takes shots. So it's not someone that I'm going to roster in tournaments. And the same with Eze. Like, I like Eze, but like it's still more of a cash play in general. I'm looking for goals in tournaments, especially for this price.
I need to clip what Ryan said about Willian a few weeks ago and just play that whenever we have a Fulham slate, and then that will be it. But
then I had to hold myself back from not going on a similar rant about Aubameyang on this podcast. But I mean, Zaha, I don't know. Like, I have a little bit more interest in Zaha than you guys. Maybe I think he's definitely going to be the lowest owned in this range, and I think that's not correct. I guess basically. For the amount of times that he scores in relation to all these other guys in this range, I think Zaha outscores these other guys more than the ownership will reflect. People stay away from Palace in this matchup against Chelsea, and maybe rightfully so, but I don't mind taking a chance there.
Right, he's plus 320 to score, so that's a 23% implied anytime goal scoring odds. Like that's not good. But if you're getting him at 4% ownership, that's fine.
Yeah,
I kind of think Chelsea are a bit overrated in the odds in this spot, but that's just me. I kind of like Crystal Palace. So midfielders.
JW. I like Neil Mopai, 5,700. People are going to play these Chelsea guys. They're going to play these other guys, maybe Southampton, maybe Joe Linton, whoever these cheap guys. I don't know, all these cheap guys. Why can't Mopai score again? And like, he makes a lot of sense too if you want to play James Ward-Prowse in tournaments, get a Mopai goal, run it back with Ward-Prowse. I mean, you could even play Mopai with Che Adams. I mean, that game looks pretty good for GPPs. But yeah, just wanted to bring him up.
Yeah, I will say Dominic Calvert-Lewin should be back in the squad. So, Mopai went almost a full 90 in both his starts. Mm-hmm. That may not be happening anymore with DCL back in the team. So something to keep in mind. But midfielder, we have James Ward-Prowse, pretty much a lock in cash games just because you know what you're getting from him. Pretty safe. I mean, he's still only 9,500. I think we've seen him over 10K this season. And I mean, there's enough room to spend on him based off the other people, the other prices on the slate. I mean, you can go. Is there anyone else above, I don't know, 6,000 that you want to team up with JWP? Maybe you go down to Demarai Gray, but are you doing JWP and someone cheaper though? Is this a dinky do in the midfield?
There's for the rest of my lineup, not including goalkeeper, I literally only have 7 players that I'm considering. It's that condensed. Like, I'm talking about for my 2 midfield spots, for my 2 defender spots, and my utility spot. It's essentially 7 players in total that I could throw it. It's based on the predicted starting 11s, obviously. So to me, you got 3 midfielders. That's it. That's all you need is 3 midfielders. Whether or not you play all 3 or you only play 2 of them, James Ward-Prowse is one for sure. You plug him in, that's it. You're done. This is the cash games. And then the other midfield spot is either going to be Demarai Gray at 6,800 or Marcus Tavernier at 6,400. And depending on who you play in your utility, you're playing both of them, right? You're playing like one of those 2 in your utility. So like, to me, like, midfield's done for cash. I mean, like, and then defender, there's 4 guys that are viable for defender, and I'm going to play 2 of those, and the one of the 2 that's left is either going to be that or Tavernier or Gray in the other spot. Like, I can't see it unless you're playing Salah at forward, unless you're paying up at forward in any degree. I don't see how your lineup doesn't look like that. Like that doesn't look like what I just described. Now, if you play up there, yeah, then you have to find some way. Maybe you're punting a defender or a cheaper midfielder. But Ryan, is there? And I mean, I know I'm perfectly fine going like, let me find the $4,200 guy that could give me 4 or 5 points. But like it seems like the pricing is soft enough. Why aren't I just building this way?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's that clear cut. I don't know why I was afraid that you were going to come on here and say James Ward-Prowse isn't necessary for cash this week. And I'm not saying he's 100% necessary, but yeah, for me, it seems pretty easy. And those are the 3 guys: Ward-Prowse, Demarai Gray, Tavernier. Now, I guess if someone wants to play Salah, again, I know people play Salah over Ward-Prowse regardless of position. And maybe you want to play Salah just because of positional scarcity. I mean, if there's a cheap guy you're looking for, I don't know, people might like Ryan Frazier for 4,100. You might be able to make something work with that, but he's not really taking many set pieces anymore and seems kind of like an unnecessary risk to me. I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you. JWP, Demarai Gray, Tavernier. I think the interesting question is, are you going to play 3 defenders, or are you going to play one of those midfielders over one of those defenders?
All right. Well, that to me, that's the choice. Also, at what point would it make sense to play Mason Mount at 7,400? Because if this was a different slate, if this, let's say, like, we didn't have Gray, we didn't have Tavernier, we didn't have James Ward-Prowse, like on a different slate, I'd be like, I don't mind Mason Mount at 7,400. That's Chelsea or cheaper. It's just that Mason Mount could take all the set pieces. He could take none of the set pieces. Like, he could play 60 minutes. It seems like I view Chelsea as unless there's like one very clear-cut person of like, that's the only guy that can take set pieces, I view their team as like, I don't even consider what the set piece situation is. You just, like, if the price is right or whatever. But I mean, 7,400 Mason Mount in GPP, I think is perfectly. I think instead, if people are going to be playing Havertz and Aubameyang, Mason Mount is similar to like that Che Adams situation with Southampton, that now you're filling Mason Mount in the spot that a lot of people are putting JWP in.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm with you. Mount is better for GPPs. Just way too many unknowns with him in Chelsea. Unknowns with playing time and set pieces. I know the price is down, but what is this, Graham Potter's second match or third match? I know Mount didn't even start the last one. So, yeah, it's too risky. Better for tournaments.
So you guys are out on Matthias Jensen for Brentford. He's 5,600.
Yeah. I mean,
he's the last resort. I view him as like the Brentford Joe Matinho, right? Like I think he's a better player than that. It's just that Brentford aren't a very good team, and
yeah,
that's a low blow.
In the context of the slate, like if it was the type of slate where like midfield was rife of like there was nothing there, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'll pay 5,600 for him to fill a second midfield spot. But the opportunity cost at midfield is just too high for me to use Jensen over the other guys when I could fit them in. Like, what do I get if I go down from Tavernier to Jensen? Like, I get 800. What am I getting for 800? Just go up a goalkeeper a little bit.
You get to upgrade keeper.
Right, 6,800 for Gray. If I go from Gray to Jensen, that's 1,200. So I'm going to basically like Neto to Allison, I guess. I mean, like it's basically all the savings would end up going to keeper, and keeper's such a high variance position as it is. Like I'd rather play the better midfielders.
Yeah, I agree. And Jensen, what's happened with Jensen is what we were concerned about all along. I'm just looking at all the games so far. He's played more than 79 minutes in only 2 of 7. So, I mean, getting subbed at 60, 59, 69. I mean, he'd be good for fantasy if he played 90 minutes like some of these other midfielders. But, yeah, there's just no reason to risk a guy like that on a bad team like that. I know the matchup's good, but the opportunity cost is high.
And if you're going Salah or another expensive forward, any consideration to Ryan Christie?
I never mind Ryan Christie. I think Ryan Christie, but you have the subs risk also there. I mean, Christie doesn't play 90.
Oh, maybe I should have.
Yeah, I mean, 85 plus. It's pretty consistent.
No, I don't. I don't mind. Like I said, I don't like. I think I'd rather play Ryan Fraser over Ryan Christie. I'd rather play that Ryan. I don't know what Ryan. Which Ryan would you play?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say I sort of missed Christie. I just assumed that Fraser would be the better option in that range, but maybe he's not. Yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah, Christie would seem fine too if you're gonna play Salah, if you really want that construction. But again, like I think, yeah, he's definitely a downgrade from those other midfielders. So you're gonna need Salah to have a good game.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends what you're going to do with the extra cash. Like, why are you spending down for 3,900? I mean, that's obviously that's usually what it comes down to. But if you're in that range between Christie and Fraser, I will say if St. Maximin is back in the team, I think that's more likely Fraser will be subbed off early. So something to keep an eye on. But for tournaments here, are we still looking at JWP in tournaments, or are we moved off him just because? I think
the floor. I think the 3 midfielders we're talking about, JWP, Damari Gray, and Tavernier. I think their floor is so high for the pool of midfielders that are available on this slate. Like you go through, unless you're playing like a midfielder unless you're playing Salah in a midfield spot. Right, unless you're playing a goal scorer, they're really like the opportunity cost of goal scorers in the midfield only position is quite low. So like I'm more likely to like, dude, if I could get 10 to 12 out of Tavernier, Like, good luck finding some other guy that scores a goal and scores 15. I mean, the ceilings, like the floors of any of these other guys. Like, if anyone, I would say the GPP midfielder would be like Harvey Elliott at 5,900 to be a leverage off of all this forward Liverpool forward ownership, right? Because we're going to get Liverpool defender ownership like up the wazoo. We're going to get Liverpool forward owners. Salah's going to be more owned than Diaz or Nunez, but they're probably going to be 20 plus each. Like, I don't think you're going to see many. I don't think anyone's playing Thiago at 7,000. I'm not sure if I am either. But I think Elliott at 5,900 is like leverage, like against Tavernier, Damari Gray lineups. You either play him in place of one of them. But I just think that every lineup that I play will at least have one of those three midfielders that we mentioned, because you have to play two midfielders at least. And if I'm playing three defender lineups, I still need two midfielders. I can't see not playing any one of the playing two different midfielders, unless I'm playing one of these, high risk, high variance lineups where it's like I'm playing forward eligible players. I'm playing Maupay, and I'm also playing Aubameyang in a midfield spot. And I'm playing one of those types of lineups, which I'm not even sure you even need to do anyway. Right. So I think Ryan's with me that you're more likely to kind of just jam in these guys, at least one of them in all your lineups anyway.
I'm totally with you. I love these slates. And one of those midfielders that you mentioned is probably going to score a goal or have an assist too. So that they're I think they're really good tournament plays. Again, like every reason you said, I don't really have much to add. I mean, if somehow neither of these Chelsea forwards score and maybe Salah doesn't score either, I mean, we're going to win all the money on Saturday.
Okay.
I also want to point out just Jorginho at 3,600 is always viable for the PK. Like, it's Chelsea, if especially if Aubameyang and Havertz and maybe some ownership on Mount or something. Like, if you need to punt or something like that, he's always sitting there with PK up.
I got a good tournament play at midfield. Elyounoussi, 4,200. Say no.
I think the Southampton guys that aren't Ward-Prowse or the two cheap forwards, I will be playing plenty. We'll get in GPP. I will be playing plenty of Perot, Kyle Walker-Peters. I will be playing. I think Southampton may be the team that I play the most of. I think that game is more like and then you play Damari Gray in that lineup and Maupay. Like, to me, that's the game I'm targeting the most.
Yeah, me too. Tell me no on Elyounoussi, Adam.
It was just it must have been Twitter chatter. I saw that Elyounoussi has been one of Southampton's worst attackers this season. So it's kind of where that was coming from.
Can you give me a little context or the reason why? I mean, I'm not disagreeing with it.
I can't remember what it was. It was something on Twitter I saw over the last couple of weeks. It was just based off what he's done, kind of a thing.
Or just people trolling on Twitter. That's it.
Probably, but
we're making our decisions
Southampton
based on Twitter trolls now. Is that what we're doing?
I mean, I don't watch every minute of Southampton matches, but when you can get Southampton fans that having comments like that, they know more than I do in that situation. So I'll take their word for it. I think we have to mention. I don't know if Ryan was going to actually get to these guys, but I mean, he hasn't mentioned Anthony Gordon yet, 7,100, or Mbeumo yet, 6,800. I know he's going to have both those guys in some of his lineups. It's inevitable because he talks about those guys for almost every slate. So Ryan, give us your thoughts.
I'm glad you brought it up. And normally I would have with Mbeumo. However, I don't like him as much like I used to because he's not a 90-minute guy anymore. Mbeumo was a 90-minute guy last year. Part of the reason why I liked him because he takes some sets, he has upside, he could score goals. He was always like 6K, 5,800. Now 6,800 and getting subbed. They have more attackers now, Damsgaard, and they signed someone else who's on the bench now. And so, he's not like a guy that I necessarily target anymore. I think Anthony Gordon's fine, though, definitely. I'm with Jordan in that Southampton-Everton game for me is the one to target. So, I don't mind Gordon.
We'll be battling for that 245 Q then.
Yeah, it seems like it. At least we can each get it, though. We can each get it.
Right. It's a 3-seat quality. I love those, the 245 3-seaters. Yeah,
we can each get it.
Back to Jordan's point about Jorginho, the one match that Chelsea have played under Graham Potter, Jorginho went 90 minutes and Mason Mount went 90 minutes in the midfield. That doesn't mean everything, but it's something.
It has to happen. Adam, it's your rule. If it happened once, it has to happen.
We have one sample size of Graham Potter managing this team, and those guys went 90 minutes. I think that's a good sign. N'Golo Kante is still out too, so that also obviously helps. So, I mean, I think it's relevant that Mount went 90, and then you got Havertz and Aubameyang both at 66. I don't know, even Sterling was subbed off on the left wing, so I think it's relevant. Defender. So we've had discussions about using 3 defenders, using 3 midfielders.
Sorry. Say it again. I zoned out for a second about what was relevant about Jorginho.
Well, he went 90 in Graham Potter's first match.
Yeah, no, okay, that's what I thought you said. I think that is relevant actually too, because when I was just looking at Jorginho, yeah, like the game log looks terrible getting subbed when he has been. But yeah, with it definitely makes me more likely to roster him. I saw that he went 90 with Potter the first time, and if you're playing for a penalty, you want every minute possible. You know what I mean? Especially, that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like under Tuchel that he kind of lost a consistent role. Like Loftus-Cheek was in there, and he just lost the role he had in prior seasons. But this one, Defender's
easy.
Is it easy? It seems like there's a lot of guys here.
No, there's 4 guys.
Okay.
It's 3.5. I'd say 3.
Well, TAA is going to be in every lineup. We know this. TAA.
Why is he 6,100? What happened?
Well, he didn't play for England. That's why. And DraftKings was like, "Oh, you're not good enough for England, so we're going to drop your price by 1,000 or something." So here we are.
Tell me any reason why your defender spot should not be filled. Your 2 defender spots should not be filled by, at minimum, a fullback from either Liverpool or Newcastle.
Yeah, it's that easy.
Like at minimum. I mean, like, do whichever way you want. I think TAA is a lock. I mean, I will play him over any of these and also, like, he's at a price that, especially on this slate where, like, you could fit. I mean, it's not hard. It's not like he's 7,800 or 8,200 like he would normally be on a slate like this. I think I'm with Ryan. Like, I'm not even sure. I don't even believe I will be playing like 6 lineups on Saturday, on tomorrow. I can't possibly see my defender spots not being filled by one of these, by 2 of these, by 2 of Alexander-Arnold, Tsimikas, Trippier, and Target. And I consider Target like the 0.5. I prefer Trippier, but Target is, if you need it, if it's like you're down and you have a utility spot, or you need a defender spot because that's the only way you get the gray. Like, for some odd reason you wanted to play Salah lineup and you can't get to Trippier and you could get the Target. I get that, but like, if given the choice, I'm playing both the Liverpool fullbacks and Trippier. The question comes in is, do you play Trippier or Damari Gray in the utility spot, right? Because you have Leno and Neto like right there in that goalkeeper range. Ryan knows exactly the lineup I'm talking about. And also it depends on if you play Joe Linton or you play like Armstrong, because that's like a $900 difference. So you can kind of move around and play any of combinations of these types of players. But I see absolutely, unequivocally no reason like to get cute in any of my 6 lineups by not filling a defender spot with 2 of these like, let my utility be like, if I wanted to play, like, for instance, I said Southampton, like, it would be a Che Adams and Perot or Kyle Walker's would be my utility guy, right? Like, it would be like in place of a 5K midfielder, but my defender spots will be like, I could just preload TAA into like every lineup if I wanted to. But I mean, maybe I play a lineup and it has Tsimikas instead of TAA. But it's like, dude, these guys are underpriced. I mean, like, truthfully, I think Trippier should be like 7,000. Like Trippier's okay. Like Trippier's probably should be like maybe 7,100, 7,200. But Alexander-Arnold should be 8,000. Tsimikas should be like 7,400 as defenders, and they're nowhere near that price. They mispriced the Chelsea guys. Damari Gray and Tavernier probably should both be 1,000 more expensive. Like, that's why I said in the very beginning, it's like, unless you for some reason want to pay up for Salah instead of playing JWP at 9,500, like, how does your lineup not how does all of our lineups not look the same other than these very marginal type of 1v1, 2v2s? What goalkeeper do you play? And then, of course, someone wins by 30 points because of one of those things, and that's just the way it is. And I'm saying this not just for cash. I'm saying this for GPP too. It's just that the projection of these players from a floor ceiling perspective are just so much higher for their salary that it makes it less likely that you should even want to get off of that type of construction even.
Yeah, I mean, yet again, I don't have much to add. I'm going to have at least 20 GPP lineups, and all of them are going to have 2 of those defenders. Might even play 3 in the higher stakes stuff. Yeah, they're just too cheap. I guess the question is, who's a better play, Damari Gray or Trippier, Tavernier or Tsimikas? I mean, just evaluating those plays against each other is tough, and I mean that's sort of where the slate's going to come down to.
In 131 minutes this season, Tsimikas has a 23-point floor per 90 minutes. Obviously, that doesn't mean it's
you should be 7,500. You should be 7,500.
That's why I'm highlighting this. Like when people are like, okay, I've got a utility spot, right? So it's not just a defender. So it's like, okay, do I play one of these guys? It's like, do I play like, well, goal upside? I could play Che Adams, or I could play Solanke. Like Solanke's 6,400. It's like, yeah, but he could score a goal. It's like, dude, these defenders score a goal's worth of points in their sleep, like for breakfast, like that in peripherals. So it's like, yeah, great. Solanke has 2 shots, 1 on goal with a goal, right? Maybe a foul drawn, right? And he's sitting there and you're happy that he scored a goal and he has 15.5 points. And then Trent Alexander-Arnold has 27 without a goal or an assist, right? Like
yeah,
these guys can score almost 2 goals worth of points on some matchups. So like, if they get involved on the score sheet, you're dead. I mean, like, because they already have like it's almost like the goal floor of 1 goal is preloaded into these players, and then whatever they score on top of that, you're like, it's almost. That's why I'm just highlighting what, like Adam, what you're saying is like the floors are so high for these players that why are you trying to find some plus 400 goal scorer that's like, oh, maybe Philip Billig scores. Like, dude, just jam in these guys. I mean, there's enough of them. It's not like it's not like there's one of them. It's like there's all of them. Like, good luck. I want the people, even the large field GPP. I'm gonna play like out of the 7 guys. I'll play 4 of them in every lineup, and then if you play a lineup that has none of those 4, good luck running me down. Good luck trying to find all the goals, run me down. Like it's just it's really just one of those types of slates, right, Ryan?
I mean, yeah. I mean, everything you're saying is why we love these slates. I mean, the decisions are not that hard, especially when you have prices like these. Like, not only are these decisions easy, but with what you just said, it happens the way we're thinking it's going to happen, like very often, or like, I don't know what I'm trying to say exactly.
But
the
variance is much lower than you think. I'm just saying, like,
yeah, the variance is lower than you think.
Right. We have so many normally distributive, high median, high floor, high ceiling players that it doesn't feel like this is the slate where it's like, well, everyone's playing this guy, so I'm just going to go and try to find the brace. It's like, it's not that type of slate. It's just like if there's find the brace and then just jam in as many points as possible.
Right.
I think it's that. If it's Che Adams, it's Che Adams. If it's Ivan Toney, I'm not going to win first place.
And you mentioned like 1 or 2 of those midfielders. even with their floors is like good enough and like probably going to be optimal in tournaments. So it's like why I made that comment about like, well, if the Chelsea forwards don't score, like I'm going to win because like, obviously I'm exaggerating, but if you just, if you fade the right guys, like it's not hard to get the other stuff right. And there's not as much variance as there normally is in DFS and in soccer in general on slates like these.
So based off what you guys just said, Reece James is not going to be very popular.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought up Reece. And, in that Champions League match, like I'm so scarred by Chelsea that I didn't even look at Chelsea. And then you mentioned to me that you were playing Reece James, and I was like, really, in a back four? I was like, I didn't even look at their lineup, but of course he's in a back five now with Potter. And like I didn't even I should have looked at the lineup closely, but it looked like he might be in a back four. But when you saw Azpilicueta and
Cucurella
starting, like, yeah, they only started one center back, so it was actually like pretty easy to decipher. I mean, I sometimes I get lazy and stop paying attention to spots that I'm just not even going to consider anyways. But yeah, so you want to play Reece James?
Well, I'm just saying for the people, for the listener, that you guys are talking about the Liverpool, Newcastle guys, and I like Reece James. I mean, he used to be in this conversation.
No, you're right.
Until we've had all these questions, we still have a question of set pieces. They only took 3 in that game in Champions League. 1 was by James, 1 was by Mount, and then 1 was Ziyech off the bench. So obviously that's still in consideration. But I mean, if Sterling's on the left wing, it seems like with their lineup, it may be Mount on left-sided set pieces and then James on the right-sided set pieces. But it seems like, I mean, we don't know what Potter's going to do, but he's going to be on the wing. And that's kind of what we only care about with Reece James.
Yeah.
Like, we want him on the wing. And if he's on the wing, anything can happen. We've seen him have 20-point floors. So, and if he's less popular, I mean, there you go. So
you're right. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to force myself to get some James in. Back on the wing for sure. Like, I know he's not going to be, he'll still be sort of popular, I would think. I mean, he's Reece James and he's under 7K, but these other guys will be more popular that we just talked about. And I say it all the time with James, but he's still the most likely of these defenders to score a goal, and he's the most likely to score 2. I mean, he had at least 2 braces last season, and he's popping up in the box all the time when he plays on the right wing. So, yeah, I could do that in tournaments for sure.
I did want to mention one other defender. I mean, it is pretty clear, like there are certain set of defenders, but Aaron Hickey down here at 4,200, he's going to be it. If he plays on the wing, it seems like they got Christopher Aguirre back. He plays more in a center back role, and that pushes Hickey back to more of a wing back. I mean, he's 4,200 against Bournemouth. That's not terrible. Obviously, like you want the Liverpool, you want the Newcastle guys, but if you're down in that range at 4,200, there is a guy who isn't terrible. So,
yeah.
Do you guys want to mention anyone else defensively here?
No, I just would echo Jordan's point that I would probably throw them at util or at the flex or whatever with two of the stud defenders, and then use one of these other guys at util.
Right, but it's also hard for me to play Hickey over Frazier or Christie or Jorginho even. Like, so like to me, like it's almost like I'm not even looking. Like dude, once I got the target, I'm like, I'm done. Like, and then it's like, oh, well, if I play Che Adams, maybe I could play like Walker Peters or Perot. Like, and then it's like after that, it's like, well, why do I?
If you're playing Ivan Toney, then maybe Hickey.
Yeah, if you're playing a Tony Salah lineup, but but the point that I was making before, dude, if you're gonna play a Tony Salah lineup, like just try to run me down.
Right.
Perfectly. Fine. If you could get a brace out of both of them. And we get floor results and only 10, 12 points from each of our guys. Okay, fine. You win this time. Like, fine. Okay. But feel free to try to run me down. I'll be fine with the cheapo forwards.
I did have a question here for Ryan, just based off more about tactics here. Jordan doesn't care about it. He's up and he's gone. But so this is the first match for De Zerbi here, Brighton. He is. I've done some research on him. He's kind of in the same mold as Potter, but it seems like he prefers to do a bit more possession. He wants his teams to possess the ball more, pass the ball out of the back, kind of a thing. And Brighton are not going to have Mwepu. So that's another guy who's out. Obviously, they don't have Basuma anymore from prior seasons. So I plugged in Billy Gilmore in their midfield. But this is their first match under De Zerbi. They already have injury questions of who's actually going to start for them. Like, what do you think Brighton are going to do in the spot? Like, if they want to possess it, how is that going to work at Liverpool? Like, what do you think is going to happen in De Zerbi's first match here? I think it could go like off the rails here if they.
So are you saying you're worried about Brighton in this spot?
I am worried, just based off the way I've heard the way that De Zerbi wants to play.
Yeah, I think other people feel the way you feel as well. I don't know, like the Liverpool forwards are even like a bit underpriced, so I think they're going to be pretty popular. I don't know, as far as like what I think, I don't know, man. I haven't been like that impressed with Liverpool this year. I've been impressed with Brighton. I mean, this is still the same Brighton team. I mean, that's a pretty like decent starting lineup still. I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess maybe I'm hoping, maybe it's more hope. I'm hoping that Liverpool doesn't score 3 or 4, but I don't really have a strong take either way.
If they all get spread out, it's not going to matter that much anyway.
Yeah.
It may not matter much. I'm not saying it
would. You're right. I guess, Adam, I don't see it. I could be wrong about this. Like, I was surprised at the implied total. So maybe I'm off on this one. I might be off on this one. I thought like Liverpool's implied total was a little high, but maybe I'm completely wrong.
Yeah, I think I don't know, even with if Potter was still there, it just depends. We'll see what happens in their midfield, I guess. Like, they were starting Lallana earlier in the season, and Mwepu was starting there as well. We'll see who actually is in there. I know it's one guy, but it is central midfield. So
yeah, I see. Maybe Liverpool should be better with Thiago back in midfield now. Better both defensively and offensively. Yeah, I don't. It's Liverpool. Of course, they could score 5 goals. I don't have a strong take one way or the other, I guess.
Okay. Goalkeeper, we got Liverpool with almost a 42% chance for a clean sheet at 5,800. Are you guys finding to have enough money for Alisson here in cash games?
It depends on your lineup construction, but I'm always in the range of I'm either playing Leno for the home underdog keepers, Leno for Fulham and Neto for Bournemouth. If you're going to pay up, you're going to pay for Alisson. But I mean, clean sheet percentage 41% is like that's not like absurd.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a 5-game slate. The more games there are on the slate, the more likely that I don't have to. Goalkeeper is variant enough, and it gets owned kind of spread out enough that no, I don't mind. I don't mind the mid priced keepers. I'm not going to go all the way. I don't need to go all the way down, but in the cash,
so Jordan, how do you decide? Sorry, I just sort of cut you off there, but how do you decide on Leno versus Neto?
I will play Neto because if I have 2 Newcastle players in my lineup, that's core. I mean, like,
well, yeah, for sure. I forgot about. Oh yeah, I wasn't thinking about Joe Linton. Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
Or Trippier. Like, if you're playing Trippier or Target in your lineup, like, when in doubt, if I'm going to choose between the 2, I'm going to play the goalkeeper that I'm not. So at least I retain some amount of like a little bit of extra upside.
Yeah, no, me too. I just, sometimes if it's a defender on the other side, you might not worry about it. But yeah, I agree.
If I'm not playing Joe Linton and just playing Trippier, then I could play. And then what does it matter?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Right. Either or. But I'm like, it's at the point of I'll flip a coin.
Right.
Like if it came down to it, it would. What could I possibly be looking at that's going to matter that much? That's going to be any different than me flipping a coin at that point. It's
Right.
nothing.
Nothing really, except
Right.
that, if you're playing Trippier, especially in tournaments, you want Trippier to have a goal or an assist even. So,
Right. Well, in tournaments, it's easy. In tournaments, you definitely are going to act as if every player in your lineup scores a goal. So why play the goalkeeper against him? But in cash games, it's kind of like just it's whatever. You don't even mind that scenario. So for the most part, yeah, I could see Allison being much more heavily owned this late because of the value that we have. Like, let's say you don't play James Ward-Prowse in your lineup and you're still playing cheap forwards. Like, it's very easy to get Allison, and with the how much ownership Trent and Tsimikas is going to have, people are going to just pair those two together. So it's weird for me to say I will be playing. I think I'm more likely to take shots on like Nick Pope, pairing him with Trippier or Target, than play Allison up at the top and hope that because, dude, if Brighton scores one goal, Allison is busted. But it doesn't mean that Trent and Tsimikas don't have 20 points each either. I mean, like the upside, like I don't even care about what happens to clean sheet equity for Trent? Like, dude, I'm not playing him for 3 points. I'm playing if the 3 points are going to matter that much in Trent's score, he's already busted. That means he only has 6.5 points, and now he's not going to have 9.5. It's like, no, I'm playing for him to get 15 to 18 points. The extra 3 is just icing on the cake. Because if he scores 15 to 18 points, he's going to be the highest scoring. He's going to be the highest scoring defender probably on the entire slate anyway. So what do I care?
Right. Yeah, I know. I agree completely. I'm likely to do the same thing you just said. This guy's. I see you answering this guy's question about any interest in Raya. It's just between Neto and Leno for cash games, but Raya in tournaments, those are the guys that are going to be less owned in tournaments.
Well, I mean, you could play Ryan if you're not paying if you're playing like Armstrong, Aubameyang, then you have the money. Like what we were talking about before about if you don't play if you're playing Trippier over Damari Gray, a $100 difference, maybe you have the slight extra money to go up at goalkeeper. But we talked about before, any money that you're saving in all your other spots by that like under 1,000 is not going anywhere else other than goalkeeper. So it's like if you end up, it's like, well, I have Kepa. Oh, okay. You probably don't have enough to get to Allison. Or let's say you'd want to play Joe Linton plus Havertz and not Aubameyang. That's 200 more. Or you want to play, then instead of playing Neto, you're playing Begovic. Okay.
Pickford.
That's not the end of the world. It's goalkeeper, for crying out loud. It's just that in all the builds that I was building for cash, it always left me like 4,600, 4,700 or 45, like somewhere where I have the choice between Leto and Neto. And it's just whichever one. Close your eyes.
I'll add that you guys have been big on fading Chelsea during the show. So Guaita is sitting down there. You can throw Guaita in with Zaha, get that 1-0 win, and then you're going to win some money there. So there you go.
You say big on fading Chelsea. I'm gonna have to have some Chelsea. It's annoying that those forwards are priced the way they are on this slate. It would have been such a great slate if the pricing was just a little better with those Chelsea guys. I'd love to full fade them. I think Aubameyang is bad now. Anyways, I'm just he is. He really is. I'm telling you. He's fast, and that's about it. Everything else when it comes to I might have froze. Anything else when it comes to footballing ability, Aubameyang is below average at. He's fast and he has a decent right-footed shot, but he has a terrible left foot. He's not good at crossing. He can't beat people off the dribble. He doesn't have a good touch. Add to that, his attitude and work ethic is bad too. So I'm bringing the Willie and Jinx for everybody that wants to play Aubameyang. I told people he wasn't going to last at Barca, even after he came out scoring a hat trick or however many goals right away. I mean, This guy wasn't good back when he was at Arsenal. So that being said, he's 4,900 though. And I have to have some of these guys because you would hate for your lineups to just be ruined because you decide to full fade Chelsea and one of them scores a brace. In the past, I would just go all in and full fade in this spot, but I'm trying to not go so heavy on ownership or so heavy on taking these stands and just like my slate's just over if one of these guys happens to go off. So I'll mix some of those Chelsea forwards in.
I want to point out that these two stands that Ryan has been on Willian and Aubameyang, two former Arsenal guys. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, so maybe there's some bias there because they were so bad.
Maybe some bad blood going on here.
Yeah.
So
Aubameyang's not good though. I mean, he washed out of Barcelona quickly and but it doesn't mean he can't score a hat trick. I mean, he's
there you go. There you go. You just made it happen. All right. You guys have anything else, Jordan, and any other thoughts? Your favorite player on this slate will be Shea Adams. You already said it. I know that. So there you go. You're big on Shea Adams. Are you big on anyone, Ryan?
I wouldn't say that I'm big on anyone. I kind of like Mopai, like I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
I like all of
those are the same too. Like I think we both agree that we're big on the Southampton Everton game.
Yep, Southampton Everton game.
All right, so to beat Ryan and Jordan, do not use Shea Adams and do not use Mopai. Pretty simple. So there you go. Of course, if those guys score, then you guys will win all the money. So there you go. But
fingers crossed.
That's it for Saturday 5-game slate at DraftKings. As Jordan mentioned earlier in the show, rotowire.com/soccer trial, free 10-day trial, no credit card required. And yeah, we'll be back next Friday. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I'll be back next week. We got Champions League, of course. I'll be back, I believe, with Luis Pacheco. So we'll be doing some shows midweek. And then Premier League, and then I think Champions League, and then Premier League, and then Premier League, Champions League, Premier League, something like that. Busy October. Let's start it off on a good note, guys. Good luck to everyone. Jordan, Blender at Blender HD on Twitter, Ryan at Ryan Belongia. I am at Zdroik. See everyone in the Discord.
Thanks, guys.